My name is Randy Nguyen Ta. I am 23 years old. I've been studying Vietnamese with Quy for like a year and a half probably.
You came over to my my place. And you're like your second class of Vietnamese, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, can I join?"
Oh, really? That's it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm 23 years old right now. Dropped out of college 2 times, but when you hear why, it's not like because school was too hard or like I had bad grades or anything. It was just because I decided to pursue something else. So right now I am pursuing acting. I've always loved it. I know I'm good at it, and I know that I can be successful at it. So I will pursue it from here until hopefully I grow old, and then instead of being an actor, I hope that I can teach acting and maybe someday open up an acting studio in Vietnam. So when I was 18, I went to the University of Minnesota, so right Midwest in the United States. And when I went to school, I went to study medicine. I focused on that because I am Asian, and my parents want me to be a doctor so bad. But also I grew up in a town in Minnesota called Rochester, and it has the Mayo Clinic. And Mayo Clinic is considered one of the best hospitals in the US. So you have one of the best hospitals, and you have my parents who are Asian, Vietnamese. So they already told me my entire life, like, you're gonna be a doctor, and you're gonna be the best doctor, and then you're gonna come back home to Rochester and work at the best hospital in the US, and you're gonna make everybody so proud and everything like that. So there's like a lot of pressure on me, and also like I was kind of the oldest in my generation, like amongst like my cousins and I had a little brother, so like everyone looked up to me. So my parents would say, like, if you fail, they're all gonna fail. I'm like, what the hell? Like, that's such crazy pressure. So of course I want to make everybody proud. So then I hated the science, I hated everything about it, but I kept telling myself, like, I'm gonna love it, I'm gonna love it, I'm gonna love it. And then doing that for 2 years, I was able to become part of the Minnesota Future Doctors program at the University of Minnesota. So that was like a nice program that helped students like me who are first generation to follow doctors around. It's called shadowing doctors. So I shadowed doctors around. I was able to get a research lab position. I helped a PhD, MD, PhD, a doctor studying a PhD and medical degree. I was helping an MD, PhD do research. And then he eventually published a paper, and because I did work and I said some stuff on it, I got published in a medical paper. My grades were super good, and I was part of the pre-med health club. I was like just doing everything I can just to be a doctor, and I'm like, this is like doing the most. Like, I'm doing the most I can, and I just hated it. I just hated it so much. But then I remember that, I remember from my first year, after I did my first year of college, I'm like with my mom and we're heading home, and I was like, I knew I hated the science, right? So then I just told my mom, like, as we're driving home, hey Mom, I do not like being a doctor. I do not want to go on this path anymore. I did it for 1 year, so boring. I hate everything about it. I want to study something I'm interested in. And I was interested in acting, but of course, I did not have the confidence to tell my family that. And then she was just yelling at me, and by the end of it, she said, even if you hate being a doctor, tell yourself you're gonna do it because you love your mom. And that's what she told me, right? And it just hurt so much. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even say anything back to that. So then I knew that the only way for me to convince my family that this is what I really want is by showing them. I just can't say it, because then they think I'm like that, like it's like some kind of like complaining or some way to get out of it. But like if I actually show by doing, then I will actually prove to them that this is what I want to do. So then during the second year, I used like the little spare time I had to go find agents and like and then later on I was able to freelance with a few agencies who offered me some acting classes, and then I booked like a few commercials, so like that was pretty cool. And then because of one commercial, like a Best Buy commercial, my agency said, we would love you to go to LA with us, and then we could I think you would do super well in LA. But then like of course I had to like raise a lot of money. So then I remember like I went to like a restaurant called Buffalo Wild Wings. And I had them do like a fundraiser event for me, and I had a bunch of friends come out, and if they said to the restaurant that we're here because of Randy Ta, then they'll give me like 10% of their profits. So I got like at the end of that fundraiser, I got like $250. So that was pretty cool. And then I was like working at my family restaurant, and eventually saved enough money where I could go there to LA and compete. And then later on, out there, a bunch of agents wanted to work with me, and then they said, like you should move to LA, you should move to New York, and like we will represent you, right? And then at the time, like wow, like here's my opportunity, right? And like, but then it's like already at my end of my second year, I'm about to enter my third year, and I was like faced with this huge dilemma. Like, man, do I pursue acting or do I keep going to school? Like, do I do this or do that? And then I just realized that I thought of myself like maybe if I pass this opportunity, I'll go to school. Maybe I'll do it after I'm done with school. But then I saw myself like in a library, like in November, studying for finals, and then just breaking down, like like just hating myself that I would have passed this opportunity to go to New York and LA to be represented. So then I chose New York because New York everything's condensed and I can get everywhere just by a bus pass, just like taking the trains, the subway system. So I ended up doing that. I moved to New York City when I was like 20, decided to do that and then figure everything out. My family had a restaurant growing up, so I knew how to be a server and a bartender. So I knew how to work fast. I knew how to be a good server, and that's exactly what I did. That's why I spent the days working at a restaurant or a bar, and then I would go, and then all my free time I would go to auditions, And I did that for a while. I met some great people who eventually told me that I should go to acting school, and then later on I got into a great acting program in New Jersey. And then I did that for a year, and I was about to go to my second year, but then my family finances, my family's businesses was like going up and down, and my family didn't have enough money to support me, and they could have helped me more. But then my little brother is also finishing up high school, so he's about to go to college too. So I knew that if my family was going to help me, there'd be no way that they could help my little brother go to college. So then the other decision was like, do I take out loans? But I'll be graduating with an arts degree. So if I took out like that much of loans and graduating with an arts degree, that's like financial suicide once I graduate.
So I just have a follow-up question for Randy that so how do you see the importance of your family now, and do you still remember what your mom said?
Yeah, so the thing is, like, my family like they're good, like they're gonna worry about me, right? Because right now, like, I don't have a college degree, and they can't help but compare me to everyone else my age. Like, for example, Pele, who's 23, he has an undergraduate degree, and he's working. Or like, my roommate Kevin Hang, who just got accepted into his master's program. So you can't help as a mom and like a parent to worry about your child like that, because they're just looking at everyone else, and kind of seeing where I'm at. So they still nag at me, like, hey, you should go back to college, whatever, blah blah blah. But my dad actually, he was the most strict early on in my life, but now he's complete hands off. And what's very touching to hear is that I remember I was talking to my neighbor, and maybe like a year ago or 2 years ago, and I was talking to her, and she was saying that my dad is actually super proud of me. And I'm like, what? He's never said that to me in my life. And then she's like, yeah, like, no, he said he's super proud of you because when you moved to New York, you never asked 1 penny from your family, and you paid off everything by yourself. And then on top of that, you were able to get into one of the best acting programs in the country. I'm like, oh, nice. So my dad does listen to me, you know, like, so he actually is proud. So then when you think about that achievement, it's like, I do feel proud of my efforts when I look back, like, yeah, like it didn't break me, you know, it was a huge obstacle, but I went over it, and I was able to discover so much about myself and how the world works. But my family still can't help. Like my mom, for sure my grandma and grandpa, they for sure can't help but just say like, please just go back to school and get a degree, because you know it's like proof that you're smart or something. But for me, I know that getting a degree doesn't mean anything in terms of success, you know.
Like research and such, that people have a certain type of like their experiences are in, like, imagine like a wave, and there's a line that like predicts your happiness, and sometimes you have experience that's above it, or you have a negative experience that's below it. So if you like can work to move the line down, which is to like humble yourself, to reflect, to recognize experiences as like a blessing, then everything will be above the line. But for me, I think all of our experiences are like this low because there's a lot of inequity and inequality in like the life that we live. Like we don't have enough resources, we're starving, we're being abused, all these things. We're being treated in not a good way. Like media, like movies, like show that like Randy should not be successful, like bad things like that. And so I think what is really helpful is definitely like a friend, a relationship, either to teach you how to like to constantly remind you like why you're so awesome.
Chị Quy, em muốn nói nữa được không? Okay. But then I just want to add like you know, with everything Perry said, and especially with the analogy going up and down, right? You know, this is in high school. It maybe college. I don't know. It just changed the way I think completely. I don't know. It's so simple, but it's crazy. So you know, like the in a hospital, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a heart monitor, and it goes like beep, beep.
Heart monitor.
Beep. Yeah, heart monitor. You know, it was like a simple picture of that, like a meme, and it said like, if your life doesn't have ups and downs, you're dead. I'm like, no freaking way! You're right. You're right. Like, dude, like, think about like if everything in your life was just perfect, like everything was just perfect, then how could you be human?
I love how this action is perfect. This is perfect.
How could you relate to anybody if your life is so perfect? How can you be inspirational? Or like, how could you talk to anybody?
I mean, it would be nothing. This would be nothing happens.
Nothing. So, lots of stuff in life are terrible, right? Like they always said, things could be worse.
So touching. Everything we can see today is to see how grateful that we should be to every little thing that we have. Maybe even the sad things that we experienced, or the good things, the little thing that we have, and all the people we have surrounding us now. I think it's a message to everyone that no matter how hard our life is, there's someone else, their life is tougher. And we should be lucky for all we have, and say thank you to everything that we have experienced, no matter that it's good or bad. But it is an experience for us to grow up.